I would be a different kind of president. I wouldn't be looking for more power. Everybody wants to be a powerful executive and run things. I, as a president, wouldn't want to run the world. I don't want to police individual activities and their lifestyle, and I don't want to run the economy. So that's like an entirely different philosophy, but it's very, very much in our tradition and in the tradition of our Constitution.
And welcome back to Sioux City, Iowa. Tonight, the GOP presidential hopefuls took to the stage, and they were outlining their visions for getting America back on track. And joining me now is the man you just heard from. That's Texas Congressman Ron Paul. How are you? Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Thanks for being with us. I noticed you never gave a full answer to, I think it was Megyn Kelly's question. Will you promise, if you don't win this nomination, and you're doing very well here in Iowa, that you will support the Republican nominee and not run third party?
Well, I'll give the same answer I've given about 39 times now. That I have no intention of doing that. I plan to do my very best and see what happens in the next 2 months. So I'm not making pledges.
I don't want to push it too hard, but when you say no intention, it leaves the door open.
Yeah.
So you're leaving the door open.
I don't like absolutes. I don't like to say, I absolutely will never do such and such. So I'm just avoiding the absolute.
But you absolutely support the U.S. Constitution.
Yeah, that's true.
That's true.
That's a little bit different than pledging to politicians.
Well, but I mean,
politicians aren't.
But the thing is, you know that if you ran third party, and I think why people are looking for an answer, you would probably siphon off some of the anti-Obama vote. I don't think there's any doubt about it.
But wouldn't it be fair to ask the moderate Republicans that are competing to ask the same question?
I've been asking
John Anderson approached. John Anderson dropped out and ran, and that's a significant.
But no intention means the door is open. So you're saying tonight that the door is open a little?
Well, the door's. I cannot conceive of it.
You can't conceive of any circumstance?
I cannot. Okay. I cannot conceive of it. Have absolutely no plans or thoughts of doing it.
All right. A lot came up tonight. Got very heated on the issue of national security in Iran. Let me ask you this question: with Iran killing Americans in Iraq, you argue we shouldn't have been there in the first place.
Right.
But they're also fighting proxy wars through Hezbollah and other terrorist organizations. They were planning an assassination of a Saudi ambassador on our soil. They clearly have said they want to wipe Israel off the map. Why do you think it wouldn't be dangerous if they got that nuclear weapon?
Well, I don't want them to get the nuclear weapon. It would increase the danger, but I don't think we should deal with that. But as far as thinking that should be the whole issue, I think you're losing the point, because there are a lot of nuclear weapons around the world. As a matter of fact, those quotes about wiping Israel off the map, just as a favor to me, look it up and check the real interpretation. They talk about getting rid of the regime of those people in Jerusalem.
I've gone back on numerous occasions. He said eliminate the state of Israel, wipe them off the face of the earth. That has been said by Ahmadinejad. It literally
says getting rid of the regime and removing from the pages of time. It is a lot different than Israel.
He's also a Holocaust denier.
Okay. No, I think that they're acting in self-defense. Ehud Barak said that they're acting logically and they're acting in their self-interest. And if he was an Iranian, he would probably think the same way. So they have a lot to contend with. And Barak said they were surrounded by nuclear missiles. Why wouldn't they have a natural? But there's a gross distortion of this debate that they're on the verge of a nuclear weapon. There is no evidence that they're on the verge of a nuclear weapon, and we shouldn't be ready to start another war.
You talk about a declaration of war. I've read the Constitution. It doesn't say you have to use any exact words, and George Bush got the authorization for the use of force. If you're going to use force, that seems to me to meet that definition.
Yeah, but it was explicit to go after those responsible for 9/11, right. And I voted for it. I voted for that.
Did I hear you say tonight, and I wrote it down, and I wasn't sure of the context because I will admit my attention was diverted, that we killed millions of Iraqis?
There was estimated, when Albright was asked that, the subject that when we were bombing during the 90s, they said that there were 500,000 Iraqi children died because of our bombing and sanctions and blowing up their water plants and all. And she says, well, that's the price to pay. We have to. So for 10 years, we were bombing them. And don't you think we would be annoyed if somebody bombed us for 10 years? So in comparison, they can say that we have killed a lot of the people. We dropped drones, on Pakistan. What if they did that to us? Wouldn't we be annoyed? And that's not self-defense.
I'm a believer that no country has shed more blood blood in defense of freedom for Muslims around the world in the United States, nor has there ever been a country that has accumulated more power and abused it less than us. Here, I got to get this final question in. This came up in 2008 when you ran, and I've asked every question of Newt Gingrich involving his background, his controversies, everything. Same with Mitt Romney. And I brought up, and I really admire your fierce supporters, but when I brought up the issue of your newsletters from the early 90s and some really outrageous things that had been written in there, and you had gone on record saying you had no idea what was in them, that kind of surprised me. Why do you not take responsibility for the things that were in your individual newsletters?
Well, in 2002, the Texas Monthly reviewed that, and they wrote a long article, and that's a real liberal newspaper. So you read that, and you'll find out.
Well, I read Reason Magazine, which is libertarian.
I did not write it, and I do not support those views. And they're painted as that make me think that, I'm a racist or something. But
there were some pretty racial things in there.
I'm the greatest defender of civil liberties, especially when it comes to the inequities in our judicial system. With blacks, the imprisonments for the drug wars, the number of blacks who get the death penalty.
I got to run. Let me ask you one last one. Do you know who did write it, and do you repudiate what was in your newsletter?
I do not, and I don't believe anything of that stuff that they've quoted.
Okay.
How about tomorrow? Remember December 16th, the anniversary
of the Tea Party.
The Tea Party. Very important date. That is when the Tea Party movement was started 4 years ago. That's the modern Tea Party movement.
And for all your supporters, I asked every other candidate questions of controversy as well. Good to see you, Mr. Paul.
Take care.
All right.